All right, Joellen, so let's talk about daffodils.
Yes.
So we
Daffodils, narcissus, jonquils, you know, they're all intertwined into the same area.
Okay.
But you get your most for your money when you buy a daffodil around here, especially here in the Mid-South, because they do well.
They do very well.
And you know, one of the reasons, nothing eats them. You know, they are
That's a good thing.
poisonous, and that's probably why they come back so reliably, because they're deer resistant. Voles don't eat them, so you know they're poisonous. So nothing eats them.
That's good.
So that's probably why they are the most reliable in this area. Now, it's good to plant them this time of year. The fall is the best time to plant spring blooming flowers.
Okay.
And daffodils are part of that. And you're going to say, well, there's all different kinds, and we're going to go over that as briefly as we can. Okay. But the depth of how you plant them, you got to think the size of the bulbs. And you want to at least plant them twice the depth that the bulb is.
Twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if the bulb is 3 inches tall, you want to plant it 6 inches deep.
Gotcha.
If the bulb is only 2 inches tall, then you only can plant it 4 inches deep. So I mean, it just depends on the size of the daffodil bulb that you have.
Okay, and this is at the bottom of the hole, right?
Bottom of the hole.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and to understand some of these divisions, we're going to go over the parts of the daffodil flower, because the first part you're going to need to know are the petals, or the perianth, that surround the cup or the corona that's in the middle. And then on that, they distinguish them by the color of the eyes, or the rim color, or the size of the rim. So those are the things for identifying a daffodil that we're going to be going over. Daffodils live all over the country, and England and the United States all have societies for daffodils, so you can go to those websites to get more information. But the American Daffodil Society recognizes 13 different divisions of daffodils. Okay. And the more that I love daffodils, so the more that I have known daffodils, the more of each of these divisions that I seem to have at my house, or that I've planted
13,
somewhere.
Mr. D, 13 divisions.
That's an unlucky number. We need to come up with another one.
Well, there is 2 major divisions. There are large ones, and then there's a miniature category, but they all are divided somewhere into these 13 different categories. Wow. So the first division is the one that we all recognize, that is the trumpet daffodils. It's going to have 1 flower per stem. The corona, or the cup, is going to be as long or longer than the petals or the perianth are surrounding it. And good examples of that are the old-fashioned King Alfred. And Mount Hood is another very popular one that most people have, and Marique, which is another one that looks a lot like King Alfred's. In fact, it's probably taken over as the major daffodil that is sold.
Okay.
Division 2, large cupped daffodils. So as it says, again, 1 flower per stem. The corona, or the cup, is more than 1/3, but less than equal to the length of the petals.
Wow.
So examples of that are Ice Follies, Ferris Wheel, and Chromacolor.
Wow.
And I have Chromacolor, that's mine. I have some Ice Follies. Then there's the 3rd division are the small cupped daffodils. And that, as it says, the cup is smaller.
Oh, okay.
But there's, again, only 1 flower per stem, and the cup is not more than 1/3 of the length of the petals.
Wow.
And examples of that are Barrett Browning and Dreamlight. Now, Division 4 is the double daffodils, and these people love these. They don't typically look like a normal daffodil, because they have 1 or more flowers per stem, and they have the doubling of the perianth and or the corona, or both. So it's just a full head of flowers, and a good example of this is Tahiti and Cheerfulness, and I have some Cheerfulness.
These are great names.
Yeah, and Cheerfulness is very fragrant too.
Oh, okay.
Division 5 are the triandrous daffodils. Now there are 2 or more flowers per stem. The perianth segments are reflexed, which means they kind of point backwards, and examples of those are Moonlight Sensation and Thalia. Thalia is one of it blooms really late, and it's white and it's beautiful, and it really does extend your daffodil season. So that's a favorite, one of the favorite ones of mine. Division 6 are the cyclamenous daffodils. I get 1 flower per stem. The parent segments are significantly reflexed. You know, think of a cyclamen flower.
Okay.
The petals go way back, and that's what these are reflective of.
Okay.
And then the flower kind of at an acute angle to the stem, so they kind of drop a little bit. Next are division 7s. This is the jonquilla daffodils. They have 1 to 5 flowers per stem, and the corona or the cup is usually wider than long, and they are fragrant. And examples of these, which I have one of, is Pipette, and I really like that one, and Golden Echo. Division 8 are the Tazetta daffodils. Now there are 3 to 20 flowers per stem.
3 to 20?
3 to 20 flowers per stem. They're very small, but they are very fragrant, and good examples of those are like minnow and avalanche.
Avalanche.
Yeah, we think of the whole stem full of avalanche of
Minnow,
daffodils.
small.
Yes.
I got it.
Division 9 are the Poetica daffodils. Their parent segments are always pure white. So the petals surrounding the cup are always pure white. And the corona is very short and usually rimmed in some color.
Okay.
Division 10 is the Bulbocombium hybrids.
Wow.
That's 1 flower per stem, but it's got a very dominant corona or cup. And the little petals, the petals around it are very insignificant. So you have this huge cup, and they're very small. And white petticoat and golden bills are examples of those. Division 11 is the split cup daffodils, and of course the split corona is in a single or in many whorls around the petals. Some examples of those are Drama Queen and
You like that,
Congress.
Mr. D?
So, I mean, you know, but they're very frilly looking daffodils. And they don't look like typical daffodils. Division 12 are all the other daffodils, cultivars that they don't fall in one of the other categories. And Division 13, the daffodils are listed by botanical name, and they're usually species and wild hybrids. So that is all 13 different divisions of daffodils, and all of them fall in some category of those. So we have lots of daffodils to choose from, so surely there'll be something for everybody to enjoy.
Surely, yeah. 13 divisions?
Yes.
Mr. D, you like daffodils?
I like daffodils, I really do, and I think I'm trying to figure out a way that we could agriculturally use them if they're resistant to deer and insects and diseases. I mean, you ever had a disease on one?
No.
That you know of? And you know, I turkey hunt. I go out in the woods, and they're out there. You can tell that is one way to positively identify where a house used to be. Because they're still there. The house can be long gone. The chimney can be melted down into the ground, but the daffodils still live, and they spread from there.
Yeah, that's why they do so well here. It's wonderful. The daffodils do great here.
Out in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
Along ditches and stuff where people used to have plant them. Yeah, daffodils do very well here.
Obviously so. So any fertilizing? How do we prepare the soil for them?
Again, the depth that you plant them is probably the most important, and well drained, because as you know, we planted some out here in the beginning when we started the bed out front, and they didn't live through the winter because they rotted in the ground.
I do remember.
So there's got to be a well-drained area.
Got to be well-drained.
They just don't want to rot in the ground. That's probably the worst problem with them, is getting a well-drained area so that they don't, rot during the winter.
Miss Joellen, that was good. We could tell you like daffodils.
I love daffodils.
We could tell that. All right, Mr. D, stay away from that drummer queen now.
Yep,
stay away from that one.
I will. I will. I'll try.
All right, thank you much. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please click the subscribe button below.